When police accuse someone of a crime, social instincts that work in other settings are tricked and confused. This results in innocent people going to prison for things they didn't do. You have to understand when police accuse you of a crime. 1. People want to harm you. 2. People won't believe you. 3. People will believe lies about you. You'll be tricked to not realize this, and instead follow your normal social instincts, leading to being convicted for something you didn't do. The government's game is something I call motive deception. They spend half their time convincing people they have good motives.
I feel your pain.
And the other half telling lies, which people believe because the lies are told in this context of wanting to do good. Innocent people go to prison for not understanding this principle of motive alignment when telling other people information. Suppose you see someone's tire is going flat and you want to warn her, so you say, "You have a flat tire." The girl will begin by answering the question, "What is this guy thinking?" She might think maybe this guy is trying to pick me up, so he's saying this to start a conversation. Or maybe he is just mean and wants to insult me and make me feel bad by criticizing my car and saying my tire is flat. So suppose you try to align the information with her motive. This is the sell me a pen approach from Wolf of Wall Street.
The only one rational thing you could do when someone says, "Sell me this pen," and that is to start asking them questions. So tell me, how long have you been in the market for a pen? What type of pens have you used in the past? Is it business or personal? The key to selling is to find out, step one, what are your clients' needs, values, what pain are they looking to resolve, what do they need? And you're looking to fill that need at the most basic level, right? Well, when you just go out and try to sell something to someone, what you're saying is, "I don't give a shit about you. I'm just going to ram this down your throat," right?
So you start out asking, "Are you driving far today?" To then put the deflating tire in the context of her motive. But she just answers, "How's that any of your business?" for still not aligning what you are saying to her with your motive. You didn't first explain what you're trying to sell. So finally you say, "I don't like people causing accidents. I want you to look at your tire." Now she understands your motive and her motive, and how what you're saying aligns with both. Most people don't use words to provide information, but to get a result. So they try to figure out the motive of the person they're speaking to, and then say things that will cause someone with that motive to take the desired action. And other people expect this. So they try to guess your motive, what you're trying to get them to do. People assume things you say to them have the purpose to get them to do something you want. So things people say aren't taken as information until they are first put into the context of some motive of the speaker. What does the person speaking want from me? Absent knowing that motive, things people say are taken as evidence of their motive, not as information. People have to either first understand your motive for sharing information or understand your information is aligned to their motive. And you have to understand their motive to align your information with it. Asking someone questions about their motive, and if they want to know something that might be useful to them, helps put your statements in the context of their motive. So what's different when you're accused of a crime? What most innocent people do is they try to provide information to sell cops something, based on making the mistake of thinking the cop's motive is to want to know what is true, and cops will believe you if you tell them.
You were walking home when I saw you. I was going right to the Circle K. No, you weren't.
People imagine if you tell cops you're innocent, they will give you the result you want of letting you go. Cops mislead you to believe this, to imagine they want information and can be sold. When what cops really want is to get people to make statements that help them.
It's good that everyone's story is exact same. Everyone's story is exact same.
When you're accused of a crime, the government's motive is to convict you. It doesn't matter if you're guilty or innocent, because most of the time it's impossible for police to even know who's guilty or what really happened. Police pick someone to target. Once they pick you, they're happy with any statement or lie that helps them get the conviction.
We start with the little one.
All right, I'm an American agent.
And?
They sent me here to assassinate your premier.
I knew it.
Because remember, nobody knows what's true except the person who actually did the crime. And that person is often not in the room. Police usually have to use lies to get any conviction, to make up for the fact that nobody knows anything. So it's all lies to some degree. It's just you and the cops and a bunch of other people accused of crimes, all encouraged to tell the lies that get the result. That makes cops look accurate and productive. But cops spend half their lives getting people to believe their motive is something else.
They have responded to emergencies in the middle of the night, comforted victims of tragedy, bridged the gap with our community, and mentored countless young deputies. Their records are filled with examples of courage, sacrifice, and honor. What occurred here was not about a lack of ability or care. It was a shortcut, a moment of poor judgment, a choice that, while wrong, was not malicious.
To make people incorrectly imagine that cops' motive is to get information and figure out who's guilty. And that's what cops will tell you. Miami courts have signs in them that say, "We who labor here seek only the truth." And they have witnesses go through the theater of swearing the oath and mislead jurors to think witnesses and prosecutors who lie would face some penalty when they won't. All that is a scam. They'll trick you into thinking they want to hear any information you have, your version of the story, and that they will believe you.
We just want to know what happened, why this happened. You know, you don't look like a bad person. We have interviewed some killers. You're not one of them. So we want to give you the opportunity of telling us why this happened so we can tell the families.
But if you're accused of a crime, they think your motive is to lie to get out of the crime. From the cop to the jury, nobody will believe a thing you say until you fix the motive problem. Before saying information, you have to establish why you are saying what you are saying, why cops are saying what they are saying, and what your information will cause different people to do. The cop goes around and he tells people, "You're going to get what you want if you say this." The cop's motive is to get everyone to say things and to tell lies that get the result he wants. Because remember, cops already think your motive for anything you tell them is to subvert them. So cops basically trick suspects into thinking, if I say this, it will get the cop to do X. This is how cops get suspects to say what cops want them to say. Then the innocent suspect says to cops, "You want me to say this? I will. Here's some information that proves I'm innocent. And here's some information that proves the other person is guilty." But only one of those is believed and used by the cop. Instead, they should say to cops, "If you give me some information, then you're going to get what you want, which is me keeping talking." And then use any information cops give you to prove that they're lying.
What makes you think I did this? Video shows the victim dying at 11 a.m. I was at home at 11 a.m. That proves I'm innocent. Actually, now video and medical examiners say 2 p.m. Let's suppose what all your lies actually mean is that I'm innocent. I still want to give you the lethal injection. The fact that I was home at 11 a.m. proves the cop is lying.
The cop lies to make you sell him the wrong thing. So you think you should either lie to him or give him information, when what you need to be doing is getting information. You should not be trying to get cops to do anything, except give you information to prove that they're lying. Whereas the cop wants you to lie, and wants you to give him information, and doesn't want to give you information that reveals he's lying. Cops want to get everybody to lie to prove you did it. All this information will be accepted as true, until you undermine their motive. Dangerous felons will be let out of prison as a reward for lying about you, and lying that you confess to them. All this will be believed by misleading jurors that there is a penalty when state witnesses are caught lying. Dangerous felons who lie about you to get out of prison will be believed because jurors are first misled about their motives, about whether they would face punishment for lying. And jurors are misled about the motives of the judge and prosecutor who let dangerous felons out of prison for lying. On the other side, suspects don't realize any true information they provide will be ignored by jurors because they can't fix what jurors think their motive is. People are misled by their social instincts to instead try to provide jurors information, thinking that people want information and can be sold they're innocent without first fixing the motive problem. Nobody will believe a thing you say because they assume your motive is to lie. So your goal needs to be to get and share information that proves the witnesses against you are lying, not share things you know which are actually true. Normally, in social situations, your first step is to tell people what you want. Jurors already know what you want. If you're guilty, you want to lie to trick them, and that is your motive for saying what you're saying. Normally, in social situations, your goal is to find out what the cop thinks to persuade him you are innocent. But the cop wants to lock you up regardless what you say, and he is willing to lie to do it. So your only option is to get information from the cop to prove he's lying, and that the reason he is saying what he is saying is not because you are guilty, but because the cop is a liar. Which is usually true because cops usually don't know what actually happened. But they need to convict people, and so they're forced to use lies.
To those who have chosen to exploit this situation in any attempt to discredit or tarnish our agency or its employees for your personal gain and attention, shame on you. The men and women of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office have earned this community's trust through years of honorable service. And that trust will never be diminished by the mistakes of a few.
Your ultimate goal is not to tell cops you're innocent or confess like cops pretend to want. It's to prove cops are lying. Because they don't care if you're innocent, and they don't believe a thing you say. Your mistake is to try to sell cops or jurors something based on what you think they want. Information. Your mistake is to give them information thinking that's going to change their minds or get a result. When what you need to do is get information to prove cops are lying, to prove to jurors whose motive is what. So let's put this in the context of 1. What the other person is thinking. 2. What you want him to do. 3. What you can tell him to make him do what you want. The cop doesn't want information. He already knows. So he doesn't ask people things to get information. The cop wants people to say things that help him get the result he already wants. The cop asks people to get them talking, to make people lie, to get the result cops want. The cop can't be sold that you are innocent. He has to be sold that he should provide you information, to get you talking, to get what he wants. The jury only believes motives for saying things, and everything people say is fitted into those motives. The jury doesn't want to hear your information. They want to believe the cop who says you are guilty, because the cop has good intentions and is trusted. They want to hear you deny it, to prove you are trying to get out of the crime. You can't talk to provide information which is true, to make people stop lying and change their minds, because they won't believe you. They only want statements that help them. You have to talk to provide motives. You talk to cops to get information to prove they are lying. You talk to jurors to give information that proves the cop's motive is to lie. But you can never let cops suspect your motive to prove they are lying, or that you are innocent, because then they will lie even more. You have to play helpless, which gets the result of cops not doing anything. What you say always has to be put in a context of what you want, the reason you are saying it, or else the other person will invent that context. If you don't put it in the context of something they want, they will assume it is to get them to do something you want. When you're accused of a crime, your default assumed motive is always to lie and get away with it. And the cop's default motive is always assumed to be to convict the guilty and protect the innocent. They will believe everyone but you. So you have to prove the cop is a liar.